How's it going, everybody? This is Rob Novakast back with another video talking about High Score Girl. As per usual, this is supposed to be a funny romantic story with misadventures of a couple of kids that are passionate about arcade games from 1991 Japan. Now, this episode, episode 4, it was interesting because in this episode we don't have Akira in this one, but they introduce a brand new character, which I believe was Koharu. Koharu Hidaka. Hidaka, yeah. I'm trying to pronounce it as best I can. Though, you know, since with me being part of, or at least have taken part in some of the Japanese language, you'd think I would be able to retain some of it. And I apologize if I offend anybody for not remembering, but it's been a while. But anyway, so with this particular episode, again, the character Akira has been removed off the table for the time being, and we get introduced to a brand new character, Koharu. And in this situation, or at least I want to assume probably like a year or so after the fact of Ikara going to San Francisco. And in this instance, our character Haruo is now in, I want to say, middle school. And in this instance, which, by the way, another thing I should mention, because I keep forgetting to mention certain details, but something really cool that they've been doing with the opening and outro is there's a quick still with the intro or outro music near the beginning and the end of the episodes. And something that for a lot of people who don't know, especially if you guys just watch, you know, the English dubs of anime that you know, come to the US, Japan does this really interesting thing with their anime, where they do this thing where they have a still from the show playing with the intro or outro music, and that pops up near the beginning and the end. And if I remember correctly, this was to an extent to set up an advertisement for a product or something like that. And I think it's a really cool detail to add to the show. But anyways, so to talk about this episode, Haruo is now in middle school. And by the way, another thing too is they do this really weird thing where they kind of go over, okay, what's happened in the year, like introducing Street Fighter 2, the new challenger, and for some strange reason mentioning the fact that, you know, the situation, or at least the scenario of Bill Clinton becoming president, which again I thought was kind of odd, especially since, you know, Bill Clinton not having anything to do with Japan, unless there's something I'm missing in history. But it was just a weird detail to add. I thought it was kind of funny. But Haruo is in middle school, and to an extent is chastised repeatedly for going to arcades. We have Koharu, who is the daughter of a convenience store owner or liquor store owner, who just recently purchased arcade cabinets and places them outside his shop, hopefully to kind of bring in kids to play the games. Now, in this regard, this is around, you know, in the middle of winter, which is odd. and kind of like the worst time for kids to be playing video games, or at least arcade cabinets, especially when they're outside. But all in all, he figures that, this will be the perfect opportunity to make a little bit more money. So with that, we have this whole situation where Koharu ends up following after a situation where she almost gets kind of caught up in a blizzard or a winter storm. She follows Haruo into a shop that apparently is closing down, and she makes note that her dad just purchased several arcade cabinets, and he mentions the fact that with the store closing, he would come and check it out. Now this is getting closer to Christmas, so this whole Christmas party keeps being brought up, where the kids, like all the kids of the class, were going to go and go to this Christmas party and exchange gifts and so on. So with that, at least closer to the end of the episode, we have Haruo basically. Oh, and they also bring up another thing too, before I forget, because I'm going through the episode. They bring up another interesting device. I can't remember the name of it, but it gets mistaken for a Game Boy, but apparently it's a small handheld that plays arcade cabinet games, which again, it's pretty cool. So with that, with the whole thing, it was a cool little thing, because again, this show so far, this show has been like kind of bleeding nostalgia or leaking nostalgia with every episode, especially when it comes to gaming and anything involving gaming. So with that, I just figured I'd mention that little detail because it was kind of cool, and I didn't know that there was something like that existed. This little handheld that played only arcade cabinet games. But anyway, so closer to the end of the episode, our characters Haruo and Koharu are at Koharu's father's shop while Haruo is trying out some of the games. And they're about to go to the Christmas party. However, what ends up happening is, like, last minute, the dad of Koharu comes up with Street Fighter 2 New Challenger, or Super New Challenger, or New Challenge. I think that's what it was. And this kind of piques Haruo's interest. He watches it being installed, and afterwards begins to start playing, and forgets about the Christmas party. However, Koharu, kind of to an extent, decides she doesn't want to go either. And with them not going, both also having gifts that they were going to exchange, proceeds to exchange their own gifts. And the episode ends with Koharu kind of, I guess, with her being outside for so long with Haruo playing the games, she ends up getting sick. And that's how the episode ends. And I kind of feel like there's going to be, I think, me personally, because let's face it, Akira is coming back. So I have a feeling they're going to set up this whole love triangle thing between all three of them. Between Koharu, Akira, and Haruo. So, all in all, this was an interesting episode. I enjoyed it. Still weirded out about the whole Bill Clinton thing. But anyway, with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Truly appreciate it. If you guys can, please leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, links are in the description down below, as well as check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Rob Novakast signing off. Have a good one, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.